4 teams are left undefeated in New Zealand's NPC after the first 2 rounds. No teams remain undefeated in the Currie Cup after 3. And women's international test matches are done. The warm-ups are over in preparation for the Rugby World Cup. Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup, August 13th, 2025. I'm Big Mike here at Big Mike Sports. Now let's get to the Roundup. We are going to talk all things rugby over the last couple of weeks and what we have to look forward to this weekend as well. Big Mike Sports is back on the weekly Roundup train after a few fortnights off. Big thing coming up this weekend is the start of the Rugby Championships in the Southern Hemisphere. We've got the Women's World Cup next week as well as the start of the Pacific Nations Cup. But enough of all that. Let's get to the Roundup. Let's start with the Lions tour, which did finish the weekend before last. In that final test match, the Wallabies defeated the British and Irish Lions 20-12. They look fantastic. Naturally, pundits in the Northern Hemisphere were saying, well, they didn't give it a go because they had already won the series, but that doesn't matter for Wallabies fans who are celebrating their biggest victory in a while. This one had that wonderful lightning delay in the second half, delaying things for about 40 minutes, but it also meant that the British and Irish Lions were not undefeated on their tour of Australia. They weren't undefeated on their series either. The last time they toured a country and came away with only victories was in 1966 when they went 2-0 against Australia. That's it for the Lions for 2025. They will return in 2029 in New Zealand. We have had 2 weeks of international results in the women's game, the last couple of weeks of warm-ups for these teams before next week's World Cup. Australia avenged their first game loss to Wales and got a comprehensive 36-5 victory over the Welsh women. Canada defeated the USA 42-10. Ireland got a good victory over Scotland 27-21. England absolutely annihilated Spain 97-7. And South Africa defeated the New Zealand 15 in South Africa 41-24. On the weekend we have just had, Fiji beat Samoa 31-10. Ireland went down to the number 2 ranked Canadian squad 47-26, leaving Canada undefeated so far in 2025. Italy got another big victory, this time against Japan 33-15. And in the final game of the weekend, the final game of the warm-ups, England defeated the 4th-ranked French squad 40-6. Absolute demolition job in this one. If you remember earlier in the year in the Six Nations, this game finished 43-42. That game is a potential semi-final in the Women's World Cup. England currently have a 35-game win streak. No changes in the rankings since the last time we discussed them, and we will dig deep into those rankings in next week's Roundup, where we do a full preview of the Women's World Cup. To club action now, and we'll start with New Zealand's NPC, which has had its first 2 rounds. At the top of the table with maximum points so far, we have Bay of Plenty. And the Steamers have won their 2 games. They beat Tasman 37-7. And then they beat Counties Monaco 39-22. Following them, also unbeaten on the table, Hawke's Bay sit in second after defeating Counties Manukau 54-14 and Otago in a tight one 27-21. Taranaki are also unbeaten, and so far they have beaten Northland 23-3, which was also a Ranfurly Shield defence, and on the weekend we've just had, they beat North Harbour 46-24. Finally, we have Canterbury rounding out our top four. They beat Wellington, defending champs, 33-15 in the first week. Last weekend, they beat my beloved Auckland 19-15, despite being down 15 points to 7. That was a failure from Auckland in the second half, just like in the first round, where they went down 36-35 to Waikato after former All Black Lena Sopawanga scored the match-winning try. Auckland were winning that one 32-12 with 20 minutes left. Other results from round one, including Manawatu getting a good victory over North Harbour 38-25, Otago winning the Battle of the South 24-15. From last weekend, we also saw Tasman bouncing back and beating Manawatu 49-17. Northland got their first victory of the year 22-17 over Southland, and Wellington defeated Waikato 35-24. Our top 8 after 2 rounds: Bay of Plenty, Hawke's Bay, Taranaki, Canterbury, Waikato, Otago, Tasman, and Wellington. All of those Auckland squads, whether it's Auckland, North Harbour, Counties, Manukau, they're in the bottom 4, which makes me sad. To the Currie Cup, now South Africa's premier domestic club competition. No teams are undefeated. In round 2, the Free State Cheetahs defeated the Pumas 42-25. Golden Lions defeated Western Province 40-19. The Griquards got a victory over the Boland Cavaliers 48-39. And the Sharks lost again, this time to the Blue Bulls 64-0. Last weekend saw the Griquards beat the Western Province 47-17. Blue Bulls went down to the Pumas 41-7. The Cavaliers got a good victory, giving the Lions their first loss 29-10. And the Free State Cheetahs beat the Sharks 7 points to 5. And despite that, the Sharks are not sitting on the bottom of the table. Our defending champions have 1 bonus point. On the bottom of the table, we have Western Province. The top 4, we've got the Pumas, the Free State Cheetahs, the Boland Cavaliers, and the Blue Bulls. The Bulls, the only team out of the 4 URC squads, which are obviously not the playing groups playing, but do have their fringe players. They're the only team in that top 4. Women's domestic competitions now. The only club comp in the women's game we saw on the weekend was the first round of the Farah Palmer Cup in New Zealand. Auckland avenged their big semi-final loss to Waikato last year, winning 31-28 in the Premiership. Other Premiership games from the weekend: Canterbury defeated the Manawatu Cyclones 44-5, and the Bay of Plenty Volcanics went down to the Counties Manukau Heat 88-0. In the championship, we have the Wellington Pride defeated Tasman 39-7. The Northland Cody defeated the Taranaki Fio 48-17. And in what looks like it was the game of the weekend, the Otago Spirit took down the North Harbour Hibiscus 34-33. Also an update on our Counties Manukau Secondary School Rugby First 15 competition. This was won on the weekend by Manurewa 39-17 over Wesley College. Just a quick little advertisement for me. Big Mike Sports. Have a look for Big Mike Sports NZ on X. Instagram, YouTube, comment on the Spotify. Do what you need to. If you want me to talk about any teams, any competitions, any games, do it there and we'll see what we can do. Big Mike Sports. This is Big Mike. Ta. Alright, let's look at some news headlines from the last week or so. Well, one was our retirement of Nick White a couple of weeks ago, having his last game against the Lions. He has been named in the Wallabies squad for the Rugby Championship. Also following Nola Gold leaving Major League Rugby and San Diego and Los Angeles joining together to make the California Legion, which if you look online has pissed off everyone in San Diego, losing another team to Los Angeles. The Miami Sharks, although not official, it looks like they will be the next team to be leaving. We've only got a week or two until the Major League Rugby draft. This one isn't looking good for the competition. Also, the Newcastle Falcons, who finished dead last in this year's English Premiership, have been bought by Red Bull and will be known as the Newcastle Red Bulls. The Falcons' name is Gonski. Finally, there's lots of signings in Super Rugby. Probably the biggest one from the last couple of weeks, former All Black, 19-test All Black George Bridge, who did start on the wing in the 2019 World Cup, even though that really annoyed Big Mike. He has signed to the Western Force. Alright, now let's talk the games coming up this weekend. We are going to start with international men's action, and only one competition is taking part this weekend, and it is one of the big ones. It is the Rugby Championship, the TRC. Now, South Africa are our defending champs after last year downing New Zealand, Australia and Argentina. They went 5 from 6. They did lose to Argentina when they played a weaker squad. When we look at the years since the last trophy, South Africa are obviously at 1. New Zealand won 2 years ago. Australia won 9 years ago. And Argentina have not won this competition yet. This will be the 30th version of this competition since those Tri-Nations started in 1996. New Zealand have won 20, South Africa 5, Australia 4. So what games have we got this weekend? Well, we are going to start in South Africa at the Fortress in Johannesburg. We're talking about Ellis Park as our world champions, as our defending champions, as our first ranked in the world. Springboks from South Africa take on Australia, who is ranked 6th. South Africa name their squad on Monday. Sia Khaleesi is playing at 8. Australia have not named their squad yet. What did I say, South Africa before? Who knows? Anyway, Australia have not named their squad yet, but there are lots and lots of noises out there saying that this might be James O'Connor's first start for the Australians in quite some time. So far this year, South Africa have beaten the Barbarians, Italy twice, and Georgia very comfortably. Australia are 2 from 4 so far, a tight victory against Fiji, 2 close losses to the Lions, and that victory a couple of weekends ago. Australia are battle-tested, Australia are fiery. Could this be their best chance in a while of going to South Africa and getting a victory? In 2024, South Africa won both games. This one is for the Mandela Plate. The last time Australia defeated South Africa was in 2022 in Adelaide. They have lost their last 4 in a row. The other game this weekend is Argentina versus New Zealand. The Pumas are currently ranked 7th in the world, very close behind Australia. New Zealand, the All Blacks, are ranked 2nd. This one is in Cordoba. Last year, these two teams went 1-1 in New Zealand. Argentina have never beaten the All Blacks in Argentina. The All Blacks beat France 3 times earlier in the year. Argentina beat the British and Irish Lions in Dublin. They lost twice to England and then they beat Uruguay. It'll be very interesting to see which Argentina squad turns up on Saturday evening Argentina time. There are no women's international games this week as all the teams prepare for the World Cup. To club rugby, men's club rugby, we look at the NPC this weekend in New Zealand. We have Southland taking on Manawatu, two unbeaten squads facing each other in Bay of Plenty versus Canterbury. Northland versus Tasman, Auckland are hosting Taranaki. Hawke's Bay look to remain undefeated against North Harbour. Wellington versus Otago, and Waikato versus Counties Manukau, the local derby. The Heartland Championship also starts in New Zealand this weekend. Thames Valley are your defending champions. In Currie Cup action, the hapless, winless Sharks are taking on the Griquas. Top of the table Pumas will be hosting the Golden Lions. Free State Cheetahs, who are sitting in second, hosting Western Province, and the Boland Cavaliers will be taking on the Blue Bulls. To the Farah Palmer Cup, the women's domestic competition in New Zealand. Premiership games, we have Bay of Plenty versus Manawatu, Hawke's Bay versus Canterbury, and Waikato versus Counties Manukau. In the championship, North Harbour versus Taranaki, Northland versus Tasman, and Wellington taking on Otago. Alright, not too many competitions going on this weekend, but enough for a rugby head to sink their teeth into, especially if you are in the Southern Hemisphere. Okay, what do we have coming up next week? As I've mentioned probably 1,000 times by now, we have our Women's Rugby World Cup preview, as well as the start of the Pacific Nations Championship, which also serves as a Rugby World Cup qualifier for 4 of the 6 teams. Now, let's talk our Big Mike Big 3. If you've only got time to watch one, see one, follow one, whatever, hey, maybe make sure it's one of these guys. I'm going to be very basic in this one. We have got Bay of Plenty versus Canterbury in the NPC, 2 unbeaten squads. And then we have our 2 games from the Rugby Championship. South Africa hosting Australia and Argentina hosting New Zealand. Alright, that's it from me for this week. A nice and short and to the point roundup, saving up all your love for me for next week, where I will tell you what's going on with all 16 of those women's international squads looking to become the world champion. But for now, thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the Big Mike Sports family. And I hope that you have a beautiful week and you watch some beautiful rugby.